All right, I'd like to call to order the City of Monona Sustainability Committee for Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. So you've got the roll. Do we have a quorum tonight? Absent would be Tim.
Ken,
I'm sorry. Ken.
Ashley and Kristen, but we are expecting Kristen.
We are expecting Kristen. Okay, wonderful. Great. So then I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from the August 1st meeting.
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
And is there any discussion, changes, additions? I actually have something I noticed. I wondered if it was perhaps something that was a hang on from the previous meeting. Number 7, I feel like under DEI, I feel like that use was so old that it may have been something that was carried over from the previous minutes, but I did not go through the recording to prove or disprove my hunch.
It could have been.
Yeah, I feel like the council approved that a long time ago.
That was not included in the July.
Fair enough. Okay, let's just leave
minutes.
it then. Let's just leave it then. Any other changes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye. Opposed? Pass. All right. I'm gonna entertain a motion to take the agenda out of order because we have a guest here tonight that would like to speak on something which is under new business, but instead of making her wait all the way through the agenda, we just need a motion and we need to vote on whether we take things out of order. So is there a motion to do that?
I'll move that we take things out of order to allow our guests to speak.
Perfect. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. Miss Rebecca, would you like to share what you brought forward? It's really fascinating. So we're going to move down to new business number 6A. Discussion with the Monona Landworks Commission representative about the possible demolition material recycling ordinance. And I spent some time with Rebecca on the Landmarks Commission, so I'm just super excited that you're here.
Yeah. So I do a lot, so I'm on the Landmarks Commission. I'm Rebecca Holmquist. I also am an architect at EUA and talk a lot about sustainability and preservation. So one of the things that sustainability and architecture is looking at and has looked at for decades is deconstruction, building deconstruction. So I just wanted to bring this up to the Sustainability Committee first. About maybe entertaining an ordinance in the Monona ordinances. So if you click on that, Thor, it's like a little video. Maybe it should be. So I just want to talk about the sustainability and heritage conservation become full-fledged movements in the 60s. So this is a new thing,
Window.
as everyone knows. The EPA Act, the Environmental Policy Act was passed in '69, which established the first national policies and goals to protect the environment. And then in the 70s, they switched to availability of resources. So they kind of expanded it a little bit. This started a focus more on conservation. And then in the 70s, the presidential executive order known as Protection and Enhancement of Culture and Environment was passed. And so as sustainability focused on the conservation of limited resources, heritage conservation also looked to invest energy found in buildings and not the conservation of the entire building. And then in the 90s, sustainability turned to green, as we all know, the green movement. Sustainable development continued to be its focus. And an element of sustainable development aims to lessen the environmental impacts of construction. The process from extraction, manufacture, transportation, and installation of building materials for their final disposal, construction, and maybe demolition must become an environmentally responsible activity. So therefore, efforts look to reuse or recycle whenever possible and minimize construction and demolition waste. Another sustainable goal in construction is the practice of disassembly as an alternative to demolition way back in 1996, this was brought up by the Used Building Materials Association, an organization promoting building disassembly as an alternative. So just to give you some context, more than 75% of construction waste is not being repurposed or recycled. The construction industry is responsible for 30% of extracted natural resources and 25% of the worldwide solid waste. And did that play? It's real. Usually times it by two. It's like a.
Yeah, is there audio associated with
No.
it? Okay.
No, just kind of gives you an idea of. What we know today.
I've seen quite a bit of that.
And I wanted to bring this up too, is because we are seeing a lot of houses being torn down in Monona in the last decade. And new construction taking their place. And most of these houses come down within a day or two,
Mhm.
so it's really, there's alternatives.
I know that when the current was built, there was a tremendous initiative to repurpose or to reclaim a lot of the building materials there.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Rebecca, residential stuff just doesn't seem to be happening.
Huh, where's all the waste landing?
What was that?
Where's most of the waste landing in Monona?
Oh,
Okay, oh, sorry.
you can, you can go to the next slide if you want. So I wanted to bring up the sustainability plan from the, what is it,
Mhm.
2015 comprehensive plan for Monona. We have a solid waste energy, under the sustainability plan, the solid waste energy consumption is associated with essentially all management of material resources as they flow through the economy, from the extraction or harvest of materials and food to the production and transport of goods, the use and reuse of materials and their final disposal. So I put on here a couple clips from our sustainability plan. Reducing waste is part of our dashboard on the sustainability website. And then some of the metrics that we use. The plan also states that with increasing economic development and consumption, the waste produced within cities has historically been increasing. Improper waste management can lead to the spread of diseases and other health problems from substances leaking into the environment. Unsustainable management of waste is a source of pollution of water, air, and land, which we are all trying to sustain in this group. Local problem for Monona is that the Dane County landfill is nearly full, and constructing or expanding on that is both difficult and costly. Under community objectives in the sustainability plan, decrease total solid waste collected, increase percentage of solid waste being recycled or otherwise diverted from landfills, increase percentage of materials from construction and deconstruction diverted from them, and increase safe disposal of waste not included in curb pickup, such as medical hazardous electrical waste. Listed under municipality objectives, we want to decrease total solid waste collected, increase percentage of solid waste being recycled or otherwise diverted from landfills, and increase percentage of materials from construction and deconstruction diverted from landfills. So I wanted to just point out that this is not new to the Monona City as a whole, that they put this in their 2015, almost 10-year-old comprehensive plan for sustainability. This was also documented as a short-term goal almost 10 years ago to think about deconstruction.
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Yeah,
Just to orient myself, maybe this is my own ignorance, are you here to present something as a problem or to present something your committee is doing or ask us to do something? Where are you,
Sure.
where are you going so I know how to listen?
I'm going, and so I've talked to Teresa and Thor a little bit about this, mostly Teresa, about trying to get this into our ordinance and bringing it to sustainability first, because this is part of sustainability. like, who do I go to first? City council, sustainability, you know, who helps to write this ordinance?
So now are you
Or adds it
thinking
to the ordinance?
of sort of posing some requirements on people who buy houses and then deconstruct them or before we build
Right,
new
if I'm
or?
talking too much, tell me move forward.
No, that's all
Yeah.
right. No, and then also looking at the business side or
Both. Both, so
waste.
if you,
So it could be several.
Let's go to the
ordinances.
next
Let's just
slide.
go, I mean, I think
Yeah.
your material, packet materials were really explanatory. So at the end of the
if you're
day-
not from, yeah, so if you're not familiar with what deconstruction is, it's
No, I know. but-
dismantling, right,
Yeah.
rather than demolishing. 600 million tons of our waste.
Yeah.
Alone is from construction or demolition, both. But more so on the demolition side than the construction side. So you can go to the next slide. Let's kind of move forward. You guys can watch this on your own time if you want to. You
How
want to
fast that building goes
It's
down.
a really fast
Yeah.
time lapse
Oh, yeah.
of the Star Theater coming down.
Yeah,
So the differences we know between deconstruction and demolition, you know, it's not only recycling and reuse, but it's job creation as well. Reducing what goes into our landfills. So there's not just a social benefit, there's also economic benefit as well. And you guys have the slides, so hopefully
So-
read some of these on your own.
I think you know that you have a really friendly audience here tonight.
Yeah, sounds like it, so I don't
And,
really need
and
to.
I don't think anybody needs convincing of why this is a good idea. At the end of the day, I think what you're hoping for is an ordinance change.
Yeah.
So someone to review our existing ordinances. I have not. Do we have anything in our existing ordinances?
We do not have anything in our existing ordinance that I am aware of.
Okay.
I know that we have passed some resolutions that have to do with sustainability.
Right,
as a
but there's
whole,
nothing
but
with
nothing,
teeth in it, yeah.
no teeth to what do we do to incentivize owners
Yeah,
to deconstruct rather than just bulldoze their
Yeah.
house down.
Do you know of other locations that have?
Yes, that's why I had to pull this.
so it was
one.
in the packet. There
Oh, I'm
was a
sorry.
number of-
yeah.
I didn't read
To the right are some deconstruction policies in different cities. The most well-known deconstruction ordinance is from San Antonio, and they have a really good program, and they have a really good outline of how to create the deconstruction ordinance.
Where does the cost generally go to whoever's taking down the building or?
So there are places you can take your recycled products. We have the Restore.
Oh, sure.
The Restore will also come to your site and remove things for you, like your kitchen, your bathroom. They do that at no cost. And recycle it for you. We have deconstruction. I don't know if anybody's
Yeah,
familiar with deconstruction.
yeah.
And then there's another company called Recycling. I think they are out of the Milwaukee area, but they also do this locale.
This packet of information would be perfect for the city council. If we were to work on this ordinance and then get it to council for their approval, all this information would be really helpful for them. But I think we are already like totally on board with all this.
And you all understand it, it seems like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess the point is, or the question is like, what would be needed? Somebody would need to maybe review San Antonio's ordinance, creates one for ourselves, just.
yeah,
pass
probably look at like what our construction ordinance is, what, you know, the policies are. There's some. Definitely incentivizing people to do it is what gets people to do it.
Yeah,
You know, so, one of the examples was, if you say you're gonna recycle XYZ, you can start demoing tomorrow rather than waiting 3 weeks for your permit.
oh,
Because it takes longer to deconstruct,
right.
so.
And what about the people who just pay the fee as a cost? It's the price of doing business. I'll just pay the fee. Who cares? I'm just gonna still do it my way. mean, it's better
But
than,
if
not-
you
it's
have
better
a-
than not having a fee, I guess, I
Right.
don't know, but
But if
yeah.
you have an ordinance saying, no, you can't have a permit
Can't
until
do
you
that.
do X,
You
Y,
cannot have
Z.
a, yeah,
I
Yeah.
maybe missed this, but I think my biggest question is still around kind of the cost, like comparison of deconstruction versus demolition.
How much it costs a homeowner or a
Yeah,
business owner,
If
either
that's,
way.
yeah, whatever might be the most.
It actually
likely
can
to-
pay off because a lot of recycling and donating is tax beneficial.
on the last
Okay, yeah.
slide, there's a,
Yeah.
it talks about
Okay. I think, yeah, to me, it seems like that might be one of the
keep
biggest
going,
parts to
right there.
communicate.
You can actually get money for. Yeah.
That's great, yeah.
People have to understand what
yeah.
the benefit
Yeah.
is.
I can see people immediately
Right.
being like, oh, what is this gonna
Right.
cost?
Cost me,
I mean, I think,
Right.
you've presented like such an irritate, I mean, you have thought of everything.
Yeah, this is
It really
beautiful.
is, it's amazing, you've done such a spectacular job. We have dabbled in ordinance changes, it was harder than we thought,
It is. It takes a while,
it takes a
it
while.
just takes a while.
What do you think the pushback would be
I
on
don't know.
something like this, Thor, you're in?
You had a
You're
good
the
question, I
plan-
think
you're the
that's a
planning-
pushback one.
Thor's the planning
You know,
department,
how
what do
much
you think
does
the
it
plan
cost?
commission would say to something like this? What do you think I'm just, I don't know.
The local contractors, are they gonna show up at city council meetings and be up in arms? Like,
Maybe,
where
I don't
does the
know.
opposition come from?
I don't know if it comes from the local contractors as much as maybe a developer or even a homeowner who doesn't care, like they just wanna get their dumpster out and.
I've watched
Do it.
bulldozers take out
Yeah.
kitchens and toilets, yeah, everything, yeah.
But I think there's a lot of precedent out there to be able to ask these questions to
Yeah.
people that have passed this ordinance.
You blew my mind. Do you have contacts in
I
San
had- I
Antonio
just-
or?
The woman that did the San Antonio one, I have talked to her via, text, email,
Yeah,
and through webinars and stuff.
it'd be great just to know like what has the pushback been? And
Yeah,
how can we get in front of it if we were to do something like this? You know, cause again, the landlocked community, right,
Right.
is before we can build, we have to.
well,
tear
and
it down.
that's why I think
That's
it's
how it is
important
in
to
Winona.
know,
We're
right?
always
Because we
tearing
can't
stuff
keep
down
building.
constantly, right? We have no cornfields to move into. We're always tearing down. And that right there adds cost to a developer, right? Developer wants to put a building over here or in Winona. Over here, you've got no cost of construction, but in Winona you do. Oh, and now? And now y'all in Winona are gonna make me go through these hoops, right?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
forget it. I'm gonna build my high rise over here in this other community.
Well, and just for comparison, Milwaukee has a deconstruction element to their ordinance, and Madison has a recycling element to their ordinance. So when you demo a building in Madison, you do have to recycle certain things. It's just not called deconstruction.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All recycling.
Or then-
How different is that? Is that 10% of what San Antonio's code is? I mean,
I don't know that particular number, but doesn't have the teeth that San Antonio or like
Mhm.
Portland, Oregon
I
would.
mean, just bring it, you start with baby steps, you
Yeah.
start with something less threatening, like a Madisonian type approach and eventually jump along, right?
Are there
I don't know.
collaborations in any case with things, people like Habitat for Humanity or, where you would actually try to build some kind of thing that people would buy into in terms of.
Maybe one
People
day down the
are
road.
aware that like Habitat will come out and take your kitchen out for
Right,
you and they'll
right.
take it from you.
Right.
So there are some
And they
things
don't
already.
charge you for it, and then that's all tax deductible.
So there's the work to write the ordinance, then there's the work to educate, right? The
It's
public
like an
outreach, the education component that we'd have to do, and you've got like,
And I don't think
Shovel-ready
that
materials.
contractors in general, they work all over the state. I
Yeah.
don't think they are unaware of this type of
Right.
thing. And
right,
recycling. There's a lot of, if you do greenbelt homes, you have to recycle your waste.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if you do a lot of programs like focus on energy or, LEED product, you have to do some type of recycling.
There's, I think, also, we've kind of dance around this a little bit, but just like the in-reach part of this too, because I can see flags going up in terms of like, well, how is Monona gonna continue development if we put even more stopgaps in front of
Exactly,
her?
that's kind of where I was thinking, like,
Yeah.
what would plan commission say to this, you know?
Right. I don't know if it's plan commission as much as CDA.
Well, maybe, but yeah, with the funding of it all, maybe, yeah, and you know anybody in CDA?
I don't.
What is it?
Rebecca's husband, chair of.
What is?
The Community Development Authority, so the
Oh,
plan
sorry.
commission would-
Development,
the
right?
plan commission would approve the design of a building and make sure that it meets all the ordinances with the percentage of green space and such, and then CDA would come up with the financing. So the CDA trouble, because this would add a
Because it's
component
developers.
and the developer would ask for more or something, because the developer would say, well, we're gonna need more TIF money if we're gonna have to deconstruct. Maybe
Yeah.
not,
TIF districts are the major
possible.
for demolition.
Right, and you know, we're tearing down
Tied to
blended
the TIF ordinance
properties. I mean, we're gonna demo 2 buildings on Benai Drive in
using
the
TIF
next
money.
month. They're probably gonna be gone.
See, I don't wanna hear that.
And they're gonna just bulldoze them, but you know, they're gonna bulldoze them to the ground without. I mean, I don't know if they will or not.
That's, yeah. So,
Well, I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
if we were to redo the ordinance, that would be one approach, but it sounds like there are other issues that we might want to address as well in terms of education.
right,
And how to craft a ordinance would be something we'd have to think about in terms of tying it to landmarks or tying it to TIF districts.
well, I think we could just take the lead of those who've already done this and find out, you know, what works and what doesn't, and.
Did I give you the PDF or do the PDFs have links? Cause I have links in my,
Yeah, and there's links at the bottom.
There are
of the
links
slide,
at the bottom,
like your
yep, there's
personal
links to
site.
Colorado, Portland, Foster
can you
City,
click on them or do I? do you want
Orange
me to share
County,
them?
New York.
Yeah, I can click on.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
wasn't sure if
great,
it did that.
I tell you, your documentation is fantastic.
Yeah, so those are
City of
a
Boulder,
couple examples of
yeah,
some good, stronger ones.
so. It's really just a matter of people power to like work on, would you be willing to work with someone from the committee to make this happen?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, I think it's really sad that we keep seeing all these houses being torn down and then, you know, you just had a resident ask about Monona Hills. They wanna keep their little neighborhood.
Yep.
Rather than somebody coming in, you know, I have 2 houses on Midmore next to me that just got
Right,
turned into McMansions, so.
and to be clear, such a project would not prevent that.
Wouldn't prevent
It
it,
would just
but it might
make it-
incentivize them to just maybe make an addition instead.
And yeah, or if they must tear it down, they would at least do it responsibly.
And then it also gives the homeowners that do stay
Mhm,
those available materials
mhm,
that they might not be able to find. You know, if they're at the restore, they might find them.
mhm.
I wonder if we could do like, I don't know if we ever do public forums and do it like this fall before weather goes bad outside, find a champion to be right in front of a tangible example of it happening in real time. That's kind of a big idea, but.
You mean like find an example of a house that's being irresponsibly
Oh, no,
demolished or
that is.
doing it
being
right?
Yeah,
I've seen when it's completely done on McKenna,
yeah,
they just added on.
that's kind of a tall order, but
yeah.
I don't know of any that have been actually deconstructed.
I'm not sure we would need, I mean, if it's available, we could always leverage it. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
necessary. How much work do you think this would take to write the ordinance?
Well, just from experience of writing the ordinance from landmarks,
Yeah.
it took at least 2 years. It's not a short.
No, I'm not asking about passing it. I'm asking about just writing it.
Just doing your research and writing it and having the attorney look over it every time you rewrite something.
I mean, it took some time just to pass a recent ordinance. Oh, it's not even passed yet.
That
through
may
council.
have passed within that 2 years, I'm not sure.
I mean, I think 2 years we could pass it. I mean, I just,
Yeah, and that was a big ordinance.
That was a
whole chapter.
whole ordinance
Right,
section.
right. So here we just have something which doesn't exist, right? We don't have anything on the books right now, you believe?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
So just be adding something to our, yeah. I mean, it would take a lot of behind the scenes, you'd work with folks on plan, work with folks on the CDA, understand what spec is.
Yeah.
Understand what the movement is.
And determining what development it would apply to, like some communities, it only applies to large scale developments.
Got it.
Right? Maybe just commercial developments, maybe developments that are of a certain age.
Mhm.
So I think we need
Age
to
of-
make that consensus.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, I think I see a lot of, we need to ensure buy-in from.
Yeah.
Definitely the planning department and possibly the plan commission, depending on the path we take. If we wanna incentivize commercial development, the CDA definitely could be involved there if it became tied to TIF funding. For instance, that's how we did it with the current, that's how we were able to require them to.
We tied it to their
yeah,
TIF funding, as a requirement of their TIF
Right,
funding,
yeah,
yeah,
so it's part of
Tie it to
their
the-
development agreement.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I was saying.
yeah.
But like as a ordinance is being researched and drafted, some of that education
Mhm.
could begin, some of these materials or a little handout could be,
Right now, is what, yeah,
included
before
as
the-
part
right.
of like a building permit application. So
right,
as you're
Yeah.
beginning your project, that can just be available to you from the start, or if you apply for a demolition permit, maybe you get sent this material. Hey, have you considered deconstruction? There can be a financial benefit for you.
it's a fantastic point, I think we've even talked about this before
Yeah.
with Doug, that we should do that, we should hand this out when people are applying for permits.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's an easy thing that could be done right now. As,
yeah, any requirements, incentives, just, get the information out there.
what's the feeling on the table, do you think that this is something that the committee should pursue?
Yeah.
Okay, and what are the thoughts about just sort of starting off with making Rebecca's materials or similar materials available right now, whenever someone applies for a permit?
Yeah,
We could
it's
clean
like a
them up a bit,
one-page
of course,
flyer.
you know, yeah, but
That just.
I think definitely,
It's a
letting
great
people
start.
know habitats here, deconstructions here,
right, yeah,
recycling, I think does this area.
do we need a vote?
I don't think so, yeah.
Well, what are we voting on, meaning we can't,
Voting on
Making the plan.
making the materials available, well,
like,
we haven't even made the
don't have the
materials yet.
materials yet.
Yeah.
What I mean is like, the process is someone applies for, a permit, you have to have buy-in from whoever fields that.
Yeah, we need to have a discussion, I'll need to have a discussion with Doug, the planning director, our building inspector, to see where this falls in the process, yeah, how we can make that work
Seems like a
efficiently.
low burden,
Yeah,
people should be
It
on
just
board with this, but.
awareness, yeah,
Right, so-
right, exactly.
So we're voting on,
I guess we're not voting on anything.
Yeah,
yet.
it's-
so, okay,
I got a little
Just
crazy
a little
there, sorry.
further with
Yeah.
and then make sure we have the pieces.
Let's make it happen right now. Sorry, yeah, I'm excited.
yeah, so I'll reach out to Doug and
That sounds great.
the building inspector, Dave, and we'll just have a conversation about where something like a flyer could fit in with the application process or the approval process.
seems like a good approach is to
And
do
both
those kind of
business.
non-threatening things early,
Yeah,
while we're simultaneously working on the
The
strongest.
evil stuff,
Well,
Yeah.
ordinance, like a San Antonio type thing that might get watered down at some point.
right,
Shoot, strong.
yeah, that's a great idea, and. Okay, I'll volunteer myself to work with you on this, I think it'd be great, I don't know if you can stand much more of me though, to committee works. What's the overlap with landmarks, is there a quick answer to that question?
The heritage component of
Okay.
it, and conservation component.
It just seems like a good fit
Yeah,
for both committees, yeah.
you know, like Monona is developed in the sixties more so than anything.
Yeah.
And those are the houses that are going, those are the buildings that are going.
Yeah.
We've just witnessed all,
Yeah.
Monona Drive, half of it's all from the sixties,
Yeah.
right? So, 50s, 60s.
Is there anyone else that is particularly interested in ordinance stuff or?
I'd love to learn. I mean, I'm new to it, but I'd be happy to
Yeah,
contribute what I can.
sweet. Well, the three of us will get together and
I really appreciate it.
figure it out. This is really, you put a lot of time into this. It's very good.
I mean, I did a lot of webinars and learning things at work. Continuing,
This is really nice.
Yeah,
It just, I
great.
feel like we've got some great material to like have in our pocket for, you know, future conversations.
yeah, I think it's important, you know, AIA, the Institute for Architects, they have a 2030 net zero, you know, goal. And, you know, other organizations, they all have some kind of goal of reducing our carbon footprint.
Mhm.
So I don't think that the contractors or the developers are unaware of this.
Right,
You know,
right.
because we've got to design our buildings for LEED, we've got to design them for like Greenbelt homes or whatever there is.
I've listened to quite a few meetings of the landmark or the plan commission on my Monona Go app, you know, there is definitely an appetite among many of the citizen volunteers in the room. But their job is to enforce the ordinances as they are.
Exactly.
That's what their job is.
Yeah.
It is not, they cannot make the developer do anything beyond that, so I think we would have some supporters there. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to have you all on board
Yay.
and thank you for letting me participate.
Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Julia.
Thanks for, I thought you were gonna say thanks for letting me jump ahead of the agenda.
Also, thank you for letting me jump ahead. I can go home now.
Alright. You can all enjoy this. All right, thank you. So now we're gonna pop back up to unfinished business, and this is gonna go pretty quick. Number 5, unfinished business 5A, an update on the 2024 Noble Mesa Lomo Summer Pollinator Habitat Project. They're really, actually, they're all let you go.
Yeah, so the ordinance change was at council 2 meetings ago, so about 3 weeks ago now. For a first read, the city council was pretty receptive. I'd say there wasn't a whole lot of discussion about it, some questions, some concern about enforcement, how it's handled. The city attorney did recommend to council that some level of setbacks, minimum setbacks for natural lawns be reinstated back into the ordinance. We removed those completely. That was his recommendation. I don't know how council feels about that. There was no discussion about what an appropriate setback might look like, so at this point, we haven't proposed any changes, but it could happen, you know, council could make that change when it's on the agenda again this upcoming Monday. So that's when it'll be on for formal consideration. And then after that, it'll be live and start advertising it.
So what stands out to me is that during a council meeting, it only takes, what? A majority of council members to just amend the ordinance right there on the spot. After all of the time that we put through to get it to be where we think it needs to be. So the city attorney is a recommendation, but the council does not have to agree with that recommendation. So it almost makes me think that if someone would come to the meeting and speak to the point of why the ordinance as written right now is the way it is, like setbacks. Some people live on those corner lots. A setback would essentially mean their entire property could not be, you know, wildflowers. They would have to have turf grass. So I think Ashley was one of the people who lived on one of those lots. Maybe we can see if she might be interested in appearing even remotely. But I think it is so rare that a citizen comes and speaks to council that when it does happen, it's more powerful than you think. So,
Great.
so the next time this will be voted on in 1 week?
Yeah, it's on Monday.
On Monday. So, yeah. Something to think about. Is that it? I think that's it, right, Thor?
And then at the last meeting, there was discussion that maybe we should spend some of the money on new marketing materials for, you know, slow-mo summer or for natural lawns, you know, yard signs, for instance. We don't necessarily need to have that discussion tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe wait till, make sure the ordinance passes and
I'd
in what
be
form.
fine tabling it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So just to go back to the vote on Monday,
yeah.
the vote on Monday is for an amended form
The
or?
vote on Monday is to pass the ordinance as we
Recommended,
our last iteration that we passed.
And then they can be amended thereafter?
Yeah.
Cause like you were talking about having Ashley come
Yeah,
to defend something, but I'm
Right.
wondering. what's up.
Yeah, so the attorney recommended, as the ordinance exists now, there's like a 10-foot setback between property lines where you can have a natural lawn.
The existing, not the new.
Right, yeah, the existing ordinance on the books right now, the one we wrote removed
all
any
setback.
setbacks. The attorney felt like some
And-
level should be there, you know, not necessarily 10 feet, even 1 foot, just to help prevent, you know, the spread of. You know, if you don't want creeping Charlie in your yard, but your neighbor has it in their natural lawn, the setback helps with that.
And the ordinance that we are proposing has already been approved by the Director of Public Works. I mean, I think we've done our homework, right? So again, this is just, it's a
So
very powerful opinion, but it is an opinion of one person, right? So,
do we wanna email Ashley? I guess that's what I was trying to get back on. We already had trying to get someone to show up on
Yeah.
Monday to defend.
yes, I will email Ashley to make sure that, that she's aware that that's a possibility. And if anyone else, is there anyone else that lives on a property where a setback would essentially
What time is it?
7:30 Monday? And I don't have the agenda, so I don't know at what point in the meeting this would happen, but a public appearance would happen at the top of the meeting. And you would have no more than 3 minutes to speak. And a public appearance is not a conversation, so it can feel very awkward that you speak and nobody says anything.
Right.
We're still listening. It's just that we're not allowed to have a conversation because it's not on the agenda. It's not publicly noticed. Yeah, so it's an awkward moment for those that come to speak. But Ashley and I think Ken could be a good voice as well. And again, you can appear via Zoom, things like that. So I'll reach out to both of those too. And anyone else is also welcome to attend. So if you think you might be 7:30 on the dot, like maybe 7:31, by the time we say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Doesn't the meeting start at 7?
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Rick. I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh.
Yes,
Okay, I thought
Sorry.
maybe I missed.
I know.
The
It was
meeting
me.
started at 7.
I'm mistaken. Thank you for, I don't know what I was thinking. Yes. So meeting starts at 7. Thank you. And the mayor is very prompt and punctual, so Pledge of Allegiance, 30 seconds, and then you're on. So, yeah. Okay. 5B, discussion and possible action on residential tree buying program. Let me say a few words about this. So Ken and Tim and Thor and I have been working on putting together this program where there's sort of like a city citizen cost share for getting more trees planted on residential property. There have been some vacations and out of office times, and communication with Parks and Rec Director Anderson has sort of stalled. I did hear back from him today. I nudged him again, and I think it felt to me like maybe there may have been a misunderstanding. That the question on the table was, we have this grant that we'd like to apply for, but it's a matching grant. Should we go ahead and apply for it when we don't even know if Parks would be able to match the funds? Jake's response was he cannot commit to anything right now until the referendum passes. Okay. So I had already set up an appointment with our city administrator before I heard back from Jake, because I just got to thinking that, maybe he should have been in the loop earlier, and, so I had a lovely conversation with him today, showed him the proposal, very favorable feedback. Something to, I think he said something to the effect that there's gotta be a way we can make this work. I mean, it's a great idea. There's no downside to it. We should really try to make this work. There might just be some details I need to iron out. His suggestion was go forward with the grant. And if a match is needed, take it to city council and ask council to find the matching funds. They might come from places we haven't talked about yet, we don't know. So I think that's a great idea.
The urban forestry grant.
I don't know.
Oh.
So the task on the table then, and we can take this to the subcommittee, do you feel comfortable with grant writing? Or do you think Ken and you would be interested in doing that, or do you want to bring someone else in?
I'm happy to
Give it a
chip in
stab,
and,
yeah.
I've done, scientific grant work
Yeah, I mean, you're-
before, but-
Yeah,
So I'm happy to take it on and have a little
yeah,
help as much as they would like. to
Yeah.
chip in. So,
right,
You could count on me for copy editing if you want. That's literally my job.
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
you got an email, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, shoot, I reached out to you and asked you what this exact same thing.
Oh, no.
I wondered if you might be, that's
I was like,
okay.
wait a minute.
That's okay,
Yeah.
because I knew that about you, and I'm like, hey, just in case Tim and Ken aren't interested, like, because
Oh,
you should probably, no,
shoot.
no
I
worries, no
wonder-
worries. So, but you said it now, so that's great.
But yeah,
So,
so
yeah.
I'm happily available to like
Help out.
come in midway
Yeah,
and
yeah.
provide
Okay,
updates, edits, and then proof at the end,
Yeah.
or something like that.
also, I think when you go to like the DNR or any grant website, you can see the past awardees.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you can kind of see what won and what
Yeah,
didn't,
yeah,
and copy what they did. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty easy, yeah. Okay, great. I also met with, so I think at our last meeting, we talked about meetings that Tim and Ken and Thor and I had with representatives from the city of Cambridge, the Cambridge Tree Project. It was actually a citizen who was involved in that project, not Cambridge City employees. And we shared with you how they had a program that was completely volunteer driven, and how Jake would prefer to have it more city staff driven. That's fine. I reached out to Watertown. They also have programs. Did I say any of this before? I don't think we talked about this last time. Watertown has also tree planting programs funded by grants. Also funded by private donations, like just people who wanted to donate money to the cause. One citizen donated $80,000. So it's wonderful. So perhaps, there's always ways to finance something like this. It's a project that I think a lot of people would be behind. I think the next steps for us are just to get together with our subgroup again, now that we have a definitive answer from Jake.
We have one meeting on the agenda Thursday. correct?
Thursday with Cambridge guys, yeah. 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 The 19th?
Next Thursday.
Next
Thursday,
Thursday, yeah, the
19th,
19th, yeah, yeah,
And yeah, feel free to plug me in wherever.
okay.
I think
Thanks,
the
Jane.
due date on that is in October, so.
Okay,
Do the work.
yeah, maybe let's meet maybe even as early as later this week, just to start looking at those grants. Yeah, okay. Would you be okay with meeting the subgroup sometime this week? I know you're getting
Yeah,
back on vacation.
I have I'll be at a conference Thursday, Friday, so we
Okay,
can tomorrow. Be helpful if you guys can meet. If I'm not there, that's okay. too.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I've
No.
got 0 available this week, so.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Why don't I
Okay.
just look at the grant?
Okay.
and shoot off some thoughts.
Yes.
Okay.
And ask for help when
Sounds
needed.
that would be
Yeah.
fantastic. That'd be fantastic. Okay, 5 see, discussion and possible action on the 2024-25 leaf-free streets and adopt a storm drain project. What's to be said here is that, Jamie, I think you're kind of becoming aware that, as a new member, that's the only reason I'm saying this, is just that we have these seasonal projects, and, when the leaves start falling, we really want to remind people of a couple basic things. You know, no leaves in the streets, no leaves in the storm drain. When you do pile your leaves, there's a certain way you want to do it, certain amount of space away from the curb. You don't want to put sticks in there because then the vacuum trucks break, and you can never throw pumpkins in there, all those sorts of community education things. And it's PSAs, newsletters, you know, just fun things that we can do to educate folks. And Miss Kristen said that she might be or would be available to help, which that made me very happy. So
Absolutely.
that's lovely. And then I also wondered, is there anyone, Jamie, would you be interested in working on something like that, or are you more like, let me write the grant?
I think I'm definitely excited to learn, so
Okay.
wherever it makes sense to plug me in, it's great. I don't wanna overcommit, but
I know how you feel,
Um,
yeah.
but I think maybe at this stage, just throw things at me and I'll let you know where
Okay,
the boundaries are.
okay.
If that works.
What are you, okay, that sounds really great. I would think that maybe the next steps would be to meet with our stormwater expert in the Department of Public Works, because this really does fall under his expertise, and we don't want to work at cross purposes. We wanted to sort of lay out, here's what we're thinking, what do you think?
Yeah.
And make sure we're all on the same page. And you said you're out this rest of this week.
I'll be in tomorrow, but then Thursday,
Okay.
Friday, yeah.
You're out Thursday, Friday,
Conference.
so maybe early next week we could meet with Brad or something like that, or,
Yeah,
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 okay,
I'll set something up with him.
excellent, excellent. Thank you, Jamie, thank you, Kristen. 5D.
Can I add a couple of
Please.
things to that? So last month we talked about, you know, the benefits of the county's adopt a storm drain program versus the cities. Brad does want to stay with ours, at
Yeah,
least for the time.
yeah.
He's not ready to move on to the county one, mostly because of how we get credits for citizen
Mhm.
involvement with our stormwater permit. But he is hoping that we can rebrand and refresh the
Oh.
overall storm drain program.
That's a great
You know, all the
opportunity.
materials, the yard signs, just a new brand for it, not necessarily for this year,
Yeah,
but certainly for next year. So that would be something that he would like the committee's
that's a
help with.
great idea.
Should use your little, made like a
Oh,
little
the-
basket
Yeah, I know,
and
yeah,
use that as a launch point to brand and have something more actionable.
Yeah.
I am one of the storm adopters.
yeah,
But I, you know, I don't see it, and then it just kind of, I haven't been getting the emails, I used to get them from Brad.
oh,
Yeah,
A year ago, I felt like we'd get a email every time there's gonna be a rain event, those don't come through anymore.
okay,
And also we don't have anywhere to put
Right.
the
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe this.
that was one of the ideas I was gonna bring up to him to see if he would be
yeah,
interested in.
a way
doing
to
that.
track cleaning and, you know,
Yeah.
somehow celebrate the top
I know,
storm, drain, like who's
Yeah.
the best adopter, who's out there cleaning every single week, yeah.
you know, Madison, the city of Madison, last year, they did some kids contest where they named the snowplows. And the submissions were absolutely brilliant, so creative and funny, some of the names that they came up with for these snowplows. In Monona, people love our leaf trucks. You don't see that in many other cities, right? So can you imagine like name the leaf truck, or, and the prize might be you get to ride in the leaf truck, you know, it's free. The kids would go crazy getting a chance to ride in the leaf truck. It would just be a good way to draw attention to all the things that we want the moms and dads to know about
Yeah.
by getting their kids excited. I don't know. But yeah, I like the basket collection, yeah, so we'll bring all that up to Brad.
This is kind of a silly idea, can I throw it? Feel free to ignore it, but I'm just thinking like seasonal aspects of this. People really love yard signs and like, what if we have like a ghost and a pumpkin and that and a little QR code on it and learn more?
You can do a whole bunches of things,
Yeah.
yeah. Or like a sad truck, cause he ate a pumpkin, somebody put a pumpkin in the leaf pile and now
Yeah.
he's sick and he's.
Just out of curiosity, what happens with the leaves that go in your basket?
So that's, so my basket is like there all year round,
Right.
well, not in the
Yeah.
winter.
But
I'm wondering, like, it's kind of a new thing that I'm piloting, so I don't want people to put street leaves in my basket, I want them to put the street leaves on the grass. So it's really just for collecting other sorts of debris throughout the year. But what happens with them? I just put them in my own compost pile. Somebody asked me about that and they said, oh, is the city gonna pick it up for you? Is that kind of where you're going?
well, it's a
Yeah.
storm drain,
Initiative,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, want citizens to take stuff off the storm drains.
Right.
And we want them to do it.
yeah. It would almost require the person that they have a compost pile, a place to deal with it.
Or a pledge from the city to drive around to 15, 30, 45
And pick them up.
baskets, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many storm drains are in the city?
I think there's
Several
about
hundred.
400.
Yeah.
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 It's a lot.
But the number that's adopted are a few, yeah. But I think you indicated that one of the barriers to adopting a storm drain is you don't know where to put the stuff. right?
I think people do have that
Yeah.
issue and,
Okay,
you know, for.
Yeah.
I have a question, guys,
Yeah.
if I can. Yeah, just thinking about this and Teresa, you put out an email to the group weeks ago. I'm sorry I didn't get back to it,
That's
but I really love the idea of promoting, you know, how to have a quick little receptacle like you have. Would it be possible for us to consider having some kits that we might, I don't know, I thought, wouldn't it be cool if like Ace Hardware would donate X number of yards of chicken wire and and stakes? And that, you know, interested adoptees could pick up a little kit of, I don't know, 1 yard worth of chicken wire and a stake.
Yeah, that's all it
Right?
is.
And I mean, that might be one thing. The other thing is we could just promote visibility of this. Maybe we have some of the yard signs at the farmer's market. I don't know if that's something that we might consider, or maybe it's been discussed, I don't know. But
The
a lot
yard
of people
signs,
may not be aware of it.
the yard signs for like adopt a storm drain yard signs?
Right.
Yeah.
So we could sign them up there, you know, and if you're interested, you know, community, here we are. So just a thought.
So,
Great idea, yeah.
so,
Let me ask
Yeah.
about your basket too, because I'm assuming this is just a wire around.
it's just a wire tube, yeah,
Right, and is it right by the curb?
right by the storm drain.
Because I think that's also a question in terms of if it rains,
Mhm.
you're gonna get rainwater down there. And if people are slightly sloped toward the curb, you may end up with that, you know, really delicious nutrient pouring right back into the street.
Yeah,
So, you know, I mean, I think it's hard to find a solution that works on everyone's property or
Yeah.
how it would, you know, so I don't know how to be.
but maybe we don't have to. Maybe we don't have to make a solution that works for every property, just,
No, but I'm
Have
saying,
more than one solution.
yeah, trying. I mean, if people aren't thinking that way, they're not going to anticipate that that may
Yeah.
not serve the
Yeah.
purpose it's intended to serve.
Mm.
On their property, it might be different than yours or someone else's.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I think it would just perhaps, if it happens at all, I think it would just be presented as an option, not as a requirement. You know what I mean? And then people could just,
I'm just thinking
Take it
that
if they
most
like
people
it.
wouldn't think about that,
Yeah.
you know, I mean.
Yeah.
And realize that that could happen.
I like the idea of a sign up drive though at the farmer's market, I think that's worth. Seeing if
Signing up
Brad's
to
up,
adopt a
yeah,
storm
yeah,
drain.
having yard signs there, seeing if Brad's open to that.
here's what's involved,
Yeah.
rules, responsibilities.
Yeah, check to see if your local storm drain's been adopted yet,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, Yep, take a sign.
Yeah,
Here's a picture of a basket you could,
yeah, we
someone could
have
deliver to.
40
you.
signs left, and
Okay.
if we're looking to do a rebrand, you know, we
Yeah.
could try and get rid of those.
Yeah. And speaking of rebrand, I mean, Kristen and I this summer, we were talking, it's all connected to the lake. You know, so maybe that's the whole message, like, why are we doing this? Because of the lake. You know, so,
Right.
Well, I'll volunteer to do the farmer's market or two with those signs.
oh, yeah,
Look at them from you, right?
Brad has them, yeah.
Brad has them. And then we're trying to promote getting more adopters, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So they do that online.
yeah, yeah, we would need to. I think there's just a link you follow to
Okay,
sign up.
so if I had a computer there, maybe they could do it right then.
Yeah,
I mean, you could,
maybe.
I guess I didn't think about it that way.
I think we should have.
Why don't we
a
talk
couple of
about
us-
it? Why don't we talk about it after the meeting? We
Yeah, I
can
think-
figure out how to make this
Yeah.
farmer's market happen.
Ask Brad how.
And just try to go in too and see what experience you have, because it can be a little confusing and not all this stuff agrees exactly. And that may be part of this, is to straighten them out, to make the information work a little bit more efficiently.
Okay,
Maybe when you talk to Brad, ask him about the reminder bits.
Yeah,
They were,
but you're not getting
they were
them,
helpful.
yeah.
Sure, it's nice to hear that.
Do anyone else get them?
I don't. Well,
They
I'm
were-
not saying.
I gave them 2 summers ago, I think. Go out and do it.
I remember, was that the one that said like rain is on the way,
Yeah.
check your storm drain? I think those came from the county. No?
I can't recall, I feel like.
Yeah.
they were from Brad, But maybe it was.
There was a little bit of both, I think, yeah. But yeah, let's clarify and ask
Just
about that.
off, right?
yeah,
It's good feedback that you found helpful. Yeah,
and Kristen, you're involved with the farmer's market, right? So if we
Yeah.
decide to do that, should we reach out to you to set something up, you know? how
Yeah.
things stand?
Why don't we connect like within the next few days? I think the sooner we do it, the better, because we have through October, but leaves are gonna start coming down sooner than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm on the steering committee, so we can certainly find where in the calendar where we can, table availability and get
Yeah,
that set up.
so maybe I should talk to you about where to set up that kind of thing.
well, you also need to talk to others about what material you need to take with you and what you're
Yeah.
gonna say to people.
And the way Brad just prefers that any kind of
It has-
engagement strategy we do,
It has
just
to go.
get checked
through
out
him.
by Brad, because it,
It's
You know,
his
he
baby.
needs a-
So you want me to wait until
Yes.
you figure
Yeah,
out?
let- talk to
Stormwater,
Brad
we have to
first,
clear with
and-
Brad, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
But please count me in. I'm a co-collaborator, so.
okay.
Thanks, Kristen. Excellent. So number 5D, discussion on possible amendments to chapter 935-8 of the Winona Municipal Code of Ordinances regarding snow and ice removal from sidewalks. After the challenges of the natural lawn ordinance, I felt very uncomfortable pushing forward with this other ordinance. But it's not up to me to make an executive decision. I just wondered if we really want to do this. I think it has a very small chance of passing.
have you talked to anyone about it?
I'll also say I spoke with the chief of the building inspector department at Madison, who oversees their ordinance. Theirs is, it kind of similar to what we were envisioning. It's more of an educational campaign. He said they did issue one fine last year, but really it's just, handing out a flyer, explaining to residents, where they've oversalted and how to comply. And it's all complaint driven. They processed 100 complaints, in all of Madison last year. We're much smaller, so I wouldn't expect that many. And it only applies to private property, so it doesn't apply to private property. Most of those complaints were about private property, you know, you see someone over salted, you know, on the walkway into a storefront or a driveway, nothing that they can do about that, it's just sidewalk that's on, you know, public property.
Seems like we were having a hard time formulating something that we were all happy with and
I
see
agree.
being
I agree.
enforceable or usable. If you're leery about expending more capital and
I
we're
know.
talking about this deconstruction
Right.
thing, will there be a ask of
Right.
our colleagues?
Right,
Seems
Yeah.
like a smart move to
Yeah.
back off here,
yeah, I think, yeah,
be educated.
I think we should put our money on horses that are more apt to win. I mean, and I think what we originally envisioned here was the educational component, which can still happen.
We've still got some money.
We still got some stuff. The educational component can still happen without the ordinance.
Yes.
Right, yeah, and it should and it will. So, so I'll just, while we're on that, I will, what Tim just pointed out. Kristen, you can't see, but I went down to the senior center and I talked with some of their knitters and crocheters. And I wondered, remember last meeting, Ashley said that she found you could make this into a patch that don't be sold.
Right.
So we were thinking about what would happen if the seniors knitted up a bunch of hats. I mean, that's a conversation we can have for another time. But, so there's a few seniors that are interested in knitting up some hats and maybe we can just have a couple prototypes, see what happens as part of our outreach and education. I think we would have to start very small because, I think we would need a bigger conversation outside of meeting time. But, there would be the cost of yarn and the time and the seniors would want to recoup their costs, yeah. But there is interest and they'd be happy to make a few.
How much money do we have that we need to spend with $1,000, $1,200?
Yes, like 1,100 right now.
I mean, can we say we wanna spend $200 on
On yarn.
educational hats,
Yeah,
whatever that buys us, that's 10 hats or 20 hats or. And then, you know, it's a little pilot thing we're gonna do.
Yeah,
on this front.
yeah.
right. Do we have to vote on that?
Technically, we don't need to vote on sustainability funds. I think the fund is technically overseen by the city administrator, so, you know. Recommendations from the committee help, but you know, if you and Rick just ask Neil, like, hey, can we spend it on this? The committee discussed it and generally approved,
Mhm,
that's okay too. So we don't necessarily need to make a vote tonight, but
mhm.
yeah, we have that money. If the committee is generally open to the idea of promotional clothing, we can sell and even recoup the cost on.
Maybe
We can go ahead with that.
bounce it off of these knitters and find out how many they can do at what price and.
Yeah,
Find some reasonable number of, I don't know, 25 hats that we're
Right.
gonna
right.
Yeah, I would
Giveaway or-
keep it small, yeah.
So there were two women that were interested, one knits and one crochets, that's the difference. They say it would be a good project that they would be very interested in doing, but not until 2025, they wouldn't be able to start till January.
Well, winter is long.
Winter's long, right,
Right.
right, you know?
Yeah, yeah, feel free to
And-
take advantage.
And they gave me a few tips on where to buy yarn and how much yarn would be needed. And what would be machine washable and doesn't shrink and all that stuff. They felt that it would be for one hat between $5 and $10 for yarn and about 5 hours of time for every hat, so.
Wow, are they charging per time?
Well, I don't know, but they're only charging $10 for this hat and $8 for this hat, which is not anywhere
It's just
near what we
the
could
cost of the
charge.
yarn, yeah.
We could charge $25 for these, you know, I mean.
Well, yeah, I was saying, if we sell them, I mean, we can actually make money on this deal and make more
Well,
hats.
I don't think we could make that
Send
money.
it, turn it, turn
But
around.
yeah,
make money,
$10
let
and
them
8,
make more hats.
yeah, 10 and 8 would be, you know, what, maybe 25 is too much, I don't know.
Well, I'm,
But,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
not saying
yeah.
that number specifically,
But
but.
I think they could be sold for more, but, so that's about, you know, $10 for yarn and 5 hours of time. It's not insignificant,
I guess I'm saying is that I don't think we wanna be in the business of selling things, do we?
no.
We wanna use some money to pay some people to make some things that we give away for education purposes, right?
I think we would sell them.
We could sell them right at the city.
Yeah, I
And you
think,
just have a statue,
Just
like we
just at
did, used to do.
cost, sell them at cost,
T-shirts
yeah.
like that, you know, so.
Sell them at cost, yeah. I mean, I would hope that people would want to wear them. So. If we give them away, it feels like, yeah, I think they need to be sold, just to honor the people that have made them and put all the time into it. But anyway, so that's a conversation that will continue moving forward. I don't know, Sue, how much, is that something you'd like to work with me on, or are you thinking that you're kind of like to the brim with activities on your plate?
Well, I mean, this doesn't sound like a huge thing. that
No,
you're
it's
asking.
not.
I
it's
guess,
not.
you know, my only limitations right now is that things are getting
I
very,
know.
very touchy.
I'm sorry, I respect your.
So,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's like we're traveling back and forth
Yeah.
now and Alicia's in the hospital.
okay,
It's just a whole different scene, so.
okay.
That's why I just
I
don't
understand.
know when the next
Yeah,
thing she was gonna drop, so, you know.
okay. It is not, it's not a problem.
But I can certainly, you know, talk to the people at the senior center if you want me to.
I've already done that.
Oh, you've
We're
already
good,
done that,
we're good,
so.
yeah.
well, what is it you would want us to do? Or
Maybe there's not much, maybe not much,
Okay.
but I'll keep it. Okay,
Do you think of something imaginative? Go
Fantastic.
ahead.
all right, so now we're down to, we are down to number 6 on the agenda, under new business, letter B. Discussion and possible action on the annual winter salt use project. I think I spoke briefly this afternoon with Kristen, who has been involved in this project for, and I guess I jumped ahead by talking about the hats, I'm sorry. I spoke with Kristen a little bit about, you know, what do you think? Is this project sort of already set? Is there anything more we need to do? Do we just recycle the same stuff we've done last year? And Kristen's idea was wonderful. You talked about an interest in getting in front of MESBA a little bit and talking to the folks over there and perhaps learning more about businesses and contractors and things like that.
Right, right. When we reflect on the lessons learned from our first year, one of the challenge points was that many of our businesses, those properties or even, you know, rental units are managed by, you know, contracting firms, companies that come in and they do the salting. So if we can somehow reach them, and MESBA's one channel, there may be other organizations that we can try to reach out through, but the sooner we get those conversations going, we can, you know, hope to get some best practice changes going before we're actually in the middle of, you know, the winter salting season and people are already underway with their processes. So, I mean, the hope is that we can inspire some businesses to have conversations with these contractors and ask if they're SaltWise certified, you know, provide them maybe with some materials or links to resources that they could share. Awareness could, you know, be so powerful. So that's my hope with this, is to just escalate that a bit. We could also benefit from having a few more boots on the ground if we want to, you know, I think the canvassing was really effective. I think people respond. They enjoy having us come into their business and just explain what we're doing and why. And so we're a bit of a listening post as well in that way.
What would be the best time to start? October? November?
I would think so, right?
Okay.
Just it takes a while to get on an agenda. We probably as a group want to look at what we would be bringing, maybe a few slides or, you know, how we want to present it. So let's give ourselves a good runway with that.
I like that. And then Kristen, you said you would even be willing to help out with that a little bit, and you'd be
Sure.
always looking for helpers.
That's right. But I'm glad to run forth with it again, and I don't want to speak for Ashley, but we're meeting next week just to chat on about this. So
You are,
we are.
you're the best. All right, fantastic. Is there anything else you want to say about the SALT campaign? No?
Not at the moment, but I'm excited for more progress. Hopefully we can see fewer egregious offenders this time.
Yeah.
Takes time.
Maybe we could provide you some kind of little fake citation booklets that you walk around with just to.
Like that big red stamp says notice or something. Yeah.
We'll start seeing closed signs being turned on the doors.
Oh, my goodness. All right, folks, we're getting through this agenda very nicely. So we are down on number 7. Diversity, equity, inclusion discussion items. If anyone has any projects, programs, policies, or budget considerations that you'd like to bring up now that are related to DEI efforts. I just want to say that I overheard an interview on NPR 2 days ago with a diversity or DEI coordinator of some company. And I just want to look it up online and read it and get all the talking points. It was brilliant the way he explained the meanings of these words that seem to somehow be sparking anger in our country. And he mentioned that, you know, the misunderstanding is that there seems to be this belief that people are not qualified when they're getting a job. And that's just so not true. He went through each word individually, you know, let's talk about diversity. What does that mean? It means that everybody feels comfortable in their workplace. You know, let's talk about inclusion. It means everyone feels heard. It was just very well done. And I would encourage anyone to try and find that interview on NPR. It's wonderful. Okay. Number 8, any important updates from committee members or items we want to consider for future agendas, future discussion? Any reports from?
I'll just
From
say
you,
that
Thor?
Soul Smart will also be on the agenda at City Council for the second read. It's a formal consideration on Monday. And I would expect that to pass as well. There were council had a couple questions at the first read a few weeks ago, mostly about you know, how much staff time and how many city resources it would require, but otherwise council was very receptive to the idea.
And you're gonna forward some of that background.
Yes, I have some slides I need to send to council.
Okay,
Thanks for that
I
reminder.
don't think
Yeah.
they had enough background.
Yeah.
in the program to really understand it.
So you'll forward that so that it will be in the packet? Or
Yeah, it can be in the
forward it-
packet too.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least in the packet.
Yeah.
Maybe even beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send it over tomorrow.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I'm hearing the mayor on WBMO talk about it.
Okay.
She's talking about the Soul Smart Core program
Really?
in her mayoral update on BMO,
Oh,
so
okay.
Okay.
You like it?
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's in the.
It's a no-brainer, yeah, okay.
Good.
Wonderful, so in that case, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move.
To adjourn by
So seconded.
Tim and seconded by Rick, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.